Hokey dokey, everybody. Petrichor here, and I'm here to talk about Pride, as in Pride Month, Pride Parades, Pride Festival, etc. As you can clearly tell, I just got back from one. You can't see it because of the dim lighting, but I am covered head to toe in glitter. It was awesome, and as much as I am not entirely here to brag about going to Pride and how amazing it is, I do want to talk about that a little bit because it is amazing. Going to Pride it's very interesting because it's almost, to a certain degree, it almost feels like a competition of who can look the gayest. Like, whenever I go to Pride, I'm like, okay, how many rainbows can I fit on my body? How much glitter can I cover myself in before I'm like a reflective device, you know? But that might just be me. I don't know. But it's always a lot of fun to be surrounded by like-minded people and to basically just be having fun where everything is not catered to you, but you are the intended audience. That's a better word for it. It's a very interesting experience, to say the least. But there are some things about Pride I personally feel a lot of people don't talk about a whole lot that I think are important and should be mentioned, because some people might think that they're alone in their thoughts, or even just people who aren't in the community and don't understand that I think maybe they should understand if and have it explained. But here's the thing about Pride. Here's a few things. The first thing that comes to mind when I think about Pride, after the parade and how gay I have to look and who I want to go with and how I'm gonna get there and all the obvious stuff, and being, having that adrenaline excitement, one of the first things that comes to mind when I think of going to a Pride event is fear. Like, genuinely, the first thing that comes to mind, sometimes, depending on the day, even before I think about all that, is fear. Because I am afraid. And I think most people that go to Pride, especially if you're not an ally, are afraid. And rightfully so. I mean, anything could happen. Someone could decide that your Pride parade is the key spot for a shootout, or the people who have their God hates faggot signs could decide that today's the day they throw rocks, or who knows? We all, I feel like most people have this underlying fear of going to Pride because of it, because even though we're going to a space that's supposed to be for us and is supposed to be safe for us because it's for us, is dangerous. And there's a risk walking back to your car from Pride and watching people take off, their leis and try to wipe the stuff off their cheeks and hide their umbrellas and their Pride flags on the way home. You see that, and it's really heartbreaking to see them have to do that, and that you understand why. And that this isn't an isolated incident, it happens everywhere. That, like, as I got home to my apartment complex, and there were some of my neighbors who were out on their balcony watching me get out of my friend's car to go to the door to get into my building, and they were looking at me funny, and I'm like, please don't ask. Please don't say anything. Just let me go home. Just let me get inside the building. Don't let anyone stop to ask questions. Just let me get inside my apartment, safe and sound, with no confrontation. Just please. That's all I ask. And the fact that's a real thing that happens, and I feel the majority of us have that fear, that Pride is a source of anxiety for some of us because we don't know. Especially for some of us that don't fall into the bigger names like gay and lesbian and bi and all that stuff. Like, even, like, there is biphobia. Don't get me wrong. I'm not saying there's no such thing as that, but they're more accepted than, say, asexual, demisexual, cupiosexual, demi-boys and girls, non-binary, agender, and all those other extra words that we have henceforth discussed. That's the wrong word. That we have been discovering since the community has grown that are less accepted, and you're afraid to wear flags for that gender or sexuality because you're afraid that someone's going to look at you and go, what the fuck is wrong with you? Especially if you're asexual. I'm demisexual. I fall under the ace spectrum, and I'm always afraid to wear anything with the ace colors on it for fear of someone going, why is a heterosexual here? When I'm not heterosexual, but I'm always afraid that... Oh, it's the cat. I'm always afraid that someone is going to... Hey! Leave it alone. Tala! I don't have anything to throw at her. Oh well, you guys are gonna have to deal with that. But I'm always afraid to wear anything with... And my fiance too, who is also on the ace spectrum, we're always afraid to wear something with the ace colors for that reason. And that even though we are going to a space that is supposed to be for us, there's still a great deal of fear and anxiety surrounding the whole event. And that's something that happens, and I feel like we need to acknowledge that, and that people need to be able to feel comfortable in the fact that they are afraid, and they are anxious, and that they are allowed to be afraid and anxious because of those reasons, and that they're not crazy, and they're not alone. Most of us feel that way. I feel that way every Pride event we go to. I love going to Pride events. I have so much fun at them. I love taking my friends there and looking at all the merchandise and all the info people have and making friends, and I love going. But if I'm afraid, of course I'm afraid. Of course we're afraid. We have reason to be. And that's one thing about Pride I just wanted to say. And another thing I want to talk about is the shame, the almost feeling of, it's not quite shame, but for me, it's almost a feeling of shame after the fact. Not for being gay or being at Pride or anything like that. I'm not ashamed of that. Specifically, like, I like to think I've grown past the internalized homophobia. I probably haven't as much as I'd like to think I have. I'd like to think I have, but... But the thing is, after I get back from Pride, and I've got all my rainbow on me, and I'm covered in glitter, and I've got all my rainbow garb, and all my merchandise that I've gotten, and all the stickers that I stole, they were free, but, stole sounds cooler, and all the stickers that I got, and all the merchandise that I have, and I had a great time, and I'm happy, but there's some kind of shame in taking all that off and hanging it up and going back to normal life. There's some feeling of internalized shame, I think, for some of us when we do that. There's a feeling of, well, I have to go back and hide it again and wipe off all my, temporary tattoos and face paint and take off all my stuff and just go back to being normal and hiding it from society again because it's dangerous. And I always hesitate to take a shower afterwards and wash off all the glitter I can. Let's be honest, there's still going to be glitter on me for next year. That's how glitter works. But regardless, I'm going to wipe off all the glitter I can, get the glitter out of my hair, and hang these up somewhere for decoration and not wear them until next year, and wipe off the temporary tattoos I have, and not really show my merch to anyone that's not my LGBT friends, and you go back to being normal. And I feel that for some of us, at least, I know for me personally, there's a weird feeling of shame in it. Like, not that I'm ashamed of being trans or being my sexuality or having gone to Pride. I'm not ashamed of that. It's more of a shame of, I feel ashamed that I think I should hide it, that getting rid of it is wrong somehow, even though it makes perfect sense. And that there's just a weird feeling of shame, and as you take it off and you erase the rainbow from your skin and you go back to being normal, there's a weird feeling of shame and sadness, and it's almost like grieving, especially if it's your first Pride. Let me tell you something. For people who haven't been to Pride before, or are thinking of going this year, or next year, or whatever, there's going to be a feeling of sadness, almost like you're grieving, quite possibly. Especially if you live in a home where you're not allowed to be yourself. When I went to my first Pride last year, I went to Metro City Pride in Detroit. And I was closeted. My mother knew, my grandmother didn't, but my mother was very homophobic and not okay. Not okay with it. So when I went, they thought I was going to a Renaissance festival, a small Renaissance festival that was somewhere up north, I think. I don't remember. But they thought we were going to a Renaissance festival, while my sister and my brother-in-law actually took me to Motor City Pride. And as we got closer to home, they were like, hey, you need to take your stuff off. And, put your shirt back on and cover your binder. And I was like, oh. Okay. So I turned my trans Pride flag that I'd bought at Pride upside down and stuffed into my backpack. I took off the necklaces they gave me. I put a shirt on to hide my fuck Trump button with rainbows and my pronoun button, and I wiped the face paint I had gotten off my face, and the glitter didn't matter. I could just tell. I got covered in glitter at the Renaissance Festival the year before too, so whatever. And I just hid everything that I could. And there was something about crossing the threshold into my house, into that environment again, that it felt sad. That I was suddenly in hiding again, and I wasn't able to be proud, and I felt, not that I felt ashamed myself, but that I felt like I should be ashamed because they thought I should be, if that makes sense. And anyone who's been closeted in a house like that, that's gonna make sense. It's gonna make sense. In a sense of, I'm not actually ashamed, but they make me feel like I should be because they're assholes and they tell me I should be. So it's just, there's going to be a grieving of going into an environment where you can be completely yourself, and there's merch for you, and there's people like you, and you can interact with people, and they'll use your pronouns if you correct them. Most of them will. 99.9%. There's going to be that 1% that's a transphobic asshole. But 99.9% will use your pronouns if you correct them, will respect your gender identity and your sexual identity, and if you can flirt with people that you want to flirt with, and there's something freeing about it, and then you have to go back into your cage, and it's very depressing. And if you get depressed from it, I need you to remember that it is not the Pride Parade that caused it, it's the home. I need you to tell yourself that, and remember that. Remember that. It's important. It is not the Pride that gave it to you, it's the home. And it is depressing, and it is sad, and I'm sorry. And someday you'll be like me. You get to come home to your fiance and be like, hey, look at this gay shit I bought. Look at all the gay shit I bought. Look at the gay shit I bought. Do you want it? Do you want a gay bumper sticker? Babe, do you want a gay bumper sticker? Look at the gay umbrella I got us. And someday you will get to have that. You will get to come home and share and be excited and happy, and they'll be excited and happy with you, or they'll have gone with you. Hopefully they'll have gone with you. The only reason my fiance didn't is because they had to work. But you'll be happy and you'll be safe, and you won't have to have that grieving again. But until then, if you have to go there in secret and lie to your family and then come home to that, just know that A, it's not forever, and B, it's the home that's causing it. And you will be happy someday, I promise. But I just was thinking about that as I came home from Pride with my friend today, and I wanted to share that thought with you guys. Alright, Petrichor out.